All right, so this is going to be the game we're going to learn how to create with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's going to be a simple little structure where we're going to have this nice little red block here on the left where we're going to go ahead and jump over these incoming blue blocks from the right. We're going to have two little buttons here, one for jumping and then also one for attacking. When we attack though, we're going to have a little timeout that's going to happen. So we can't just keep attacking the whole time. We're also going to have this little score counter as well. Every second our score is going to increase. Once our player is hit by an enemy though, we're going to have a nice little alert here telling us our score and that the game's over. Once you hit OK, it's going to refresh and start the game over again. Awesome. Let's go ahead, jump right in, and get started. Alright, so in this section, we're going to go ahead and set up the project and create all the files we need for our project. Then we're going to go ahead and add all the code for our HTML and CSS. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up our folder that we want our project to be in. I'm just using a folder called Web Game. Make sure you have that open. Awesome. Now a couple extensions I'm using Live Preview, Prettier Code, and then also VS Code icons. This is what each one looks like. I also highly recommend these. It's going to make your coding experience a lot easier. Awesome. So go ahead and add these if you don't have them already, or if you don't want them, that's completely up to you. All right, let's go back to the code. All right, let's go ahead and create some files now within our folder. We're going to create 3 files. One is going to be called index.html. Awesome. Then we're going to create another one. This one is going to be our style.css. And then we're going to create one more. This one is going to be the script.js. Awesome. All right, let's go into the index.html. We're going to hold down Shift, 1, exclamation point, tab, and we're going to get some auto-generated code right here. Perfect. Awesome. Let's go ahead and change the title. I'm going to call this Jump Game. Awesome. All right, then underneath title, we're going to go ahead and add a link. So let's go ahead, greater than symbol. Then we're going to do link. We're going to close it with a slash. Inside the link, we're going to go ahead and pass in a rel. And then we're going to use the style sheet. There we go. Then we're also going to go ahead and we're going to use an href. And we're going to use the style sheet that we have currently, which is just going to be style.css. Awesome. All right, make sure you got that in there. Perfect. Then we're also going to go ahead and add a few things inside the body. We're going to go ahead, pass in a div. Open that up. In the div, we're going to go ahead and give it a class. And the class is simply going to be game. Perfect. Then in between the two div tags, we're going to go ahead and pass in another div. Make sure it's just div. There we go. All right. This div here, we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to only give it an ID. And we're going to give it an ID of character. There we go. Awesome. And then we're going to create another div below that div as well. In the opening tag of that div, we're going to go ahead and give it a class. And we're going to just call this block dash animate. Awesome. And then we're also going to go ahead and give it an ID. And we're going to give it an ID of block. Awesome. All right, looking good so far. That's going to be it, the 2 divs inside of this div. So go ahead, save that so it reformats. Perfect. Now underneath that original div we have above the closing body tag, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a P. There we go. We're going to go ahead and just give the word score, colon, space. Awesome. And inside of the score, we're also going to go ahead and give it a span. And inside the opening tag of that span, we're simply going to give it an ID. And we're going to go ahead and make that ID score span. Awesome. All right, looking good so far. Now underneath that closing tag P, right above the closing tag body, we're going to give it a div as well. We're going to go ahead, open that div up. Now in that opening tag of the div, we're simply going to go ahead and we're going to give it an ID, and we're going to set that ID to button-div. And then we're going to go ahead and add a couple breakpoints inside of that div. So let's go ahead. We're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Awesome. All right, make sure you have all those breakpoints. Now underneath those breakpoints, we're going to go ahead and add a button now. Let's add a button tag. All right, this one's going to be for the jump. And then in the opening tag, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give it an ID. And we're going to do b-green. And we're going to go ahead and also give it an onClick function. So onClick. And inside of there, we're just going to do jump and then an empty set of parentheses. Okay, awesome. Make sure you got that there. Perfect. Then we're going to create another button below that as well. And inside those two, we're going to go ahead and just do attack. Awesome. In the opening tag of button, now we're going to go ahead and give it an ID. And we're going to make that ID b-red. And then we're also going to give this one an onClick function. And on the onClick, we're going to do attack, empty set of parentheses. Awesome. All right, so far so good. We only need one more thing now. And we're going to add it right underneath the body tag right here. Simply enough, we're going to go ahead and do a script. So let's give it script. And I'm going to close that. There we go. In the opening tag of script, I'm going to give it a source. And simply enough, we're just going to do the script.js. Awesome. All right, go ahead and save that, Control S. Make sure you have all that down. Make sure you have everything in the header, in the starting half of the body. Make sure you have all the breakpoints, the buttons, and then of course the script at the bottom as well. Awesome. Go ahead and save that. That's it for this section. All right, let's go ahead and get started on the style sheet now. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So let's go ahead, click on our style.css. All right, we're going to be adding some things in here now. Let's go ahead and start off with a star. And then we're going to go ahead and give it some curly brackets. Now from here, we're going to give it some padding. And we're going to set the padding to 0. Below that, we're going to go ahead and give it a margin. And we're also going to go ahead, set that to 0. Below that, we're going to go ahead and do some overflow for the X value. And simply enough, we're going to set that to hidden. Awesome. So star, if you don't know, it's going to make everything have a style of this. And then basically anything we set above that is going to change. So even though we have other items throughout here, we might give it different padding, a different margin. And by default, if we give it one by the ID or the class or even the name of it, such as like div, then it's going to overlap this. But this is just a starting point that I want everything to be at. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead, move on to the next one. We're going to do the .game class, and do a class. It's just dot and then the class name. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to set this a couple things. We're going to do a width, and we're going to set that to 500 pixels. Then we're going to go ahead and give it a height. We're going to set that to 200 pixels. Then we're going to go ahead. We're going to set the border. And I'm going to set the border to 1 pixel, solid black. Awesome. And then below that, we're going to get the margin, and we're going to set that to auto. Awesome. All right, looking good. Let's move on to the next one. This one, we're going to do the class of character, and to do a class, you have to start it off with a hashtag. So go ahead, hashtag, and then type in character. And make sure these are spelled correctly or it's not going to work. So go ahead, type in character there. And then we're going to give it a width of 40 pixels. We're also going to go ahead, give it a height, 50 pixels. We're going to go ahead then and do background color. And we're going to set that to red. It's going to be our character color. Then we're also going to go ahead, give it a position. We're going to set that to relative because we want it relative to the starting point of the game. And then we're also going to go ahead and give it just a little bit of some left and set that to 20 pixels. And then we're also going to go ahead and set the top to 150 pixels. Awesome. All right, make sure you got that there. Perfect. Then below that, we're also going to go ahead and do the dot animate. There we go. Open that up. All right, this is going to be for our animation now. And all simply enough, what we're going to do is we're going to set animation to jump the class, or the style we set it to, dot 1.6, and then linear. Awesome. And that's a pretty good one to use for the kind of game we're making. Now we're going to make the actual animation itself, which is going to be a set of different styles. So we're going to do at keyframes with an S, and then jump. Give it some curly brackets, open it up, and simply enough, we're going to set 0% of the animation. We're going to go ahead and set it to, or set the top to 150 pixels. And then we're going to set the 15%. We're going to set that one to top of, what is this one? 15% is going to be for 10 pixels. Awesome. Get rid of that semicolon. And this one here is going to be for 30%. And we're going to set top again. We're going to set top of 30 to 60 pixels. And we're also going to go ahead and set the 70% top. Make sure that's a percentage. It's going to give us an error. There we go. Set that top percent, and we're going to set that to 150 pixels. And then below that, we'll set the 100%. We're going to set the 100% to top of also 150 pixels. Awesome. And this is kind of how I like it. It's basically going to be moving the character by pixels up a little bit, and then we need it to stop basically at the 150 to go back to its original spot. That's why we have it back to 150. Awesome. So make sure you got that down. Perfect. And once you get the hang of it, you can adjust it to what you want as well. All right, now we're also going to go ahead and we're going to do the class for block now. So block, open that up, zoom in a little bit. All right, I guess I can't. I'm going to scroll down. Oh, not going to let me zoom in. Okay. All right, well, from block, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give it a background color. I'm going to make the background color blue. We're also going to go ahead and give it a width. I'm going to set the width to 20 pixels. Below that, we're going to give it a height. I'm going to set the height to 20 pixels as well. Below that, I'm going to set the position. And we're going to set that to relative as well. Below that, we're going to go ahead and set top to 130 pixels. And we're going to set the left to 500 pixels. And animation, we're going to give it the block animation that we're going to make. 3 seconds. Infinite linear. because we're going to have it on repeat basically. Awesome. That's why we need that infinite linear. Let's go ahead and create the block animation now. So again, we're going to do an at keyframes. And we're going to call block. Open it up. Inside of there, we're going to do the 0%. And we're going to set the 0% to left. And then also 500 pixels. So all we're going to be doing is just moving this across. And then we're going to set the 100%. Again, we're going to set left. And we're going to set that to -20 pixels. Awesome. Make sure not to have the semicolons in there. Perfect. All right. Looking good so far. We're almost done. All right. Let's go ahead below that. We're going to do the paragraph style now. So just a P. And then inside of there, we're going to just do a text align center. Just like that. Perfect. All right, let's do the button class div now. So again, if it's a class, give it a hashtag. Or if it's an ID, sorry. If it's an ID, give it a hashtag. So button dash div, open it up. And we're going to do margin. Set that to auto. We're also going to go ahead, do text align, center, and then give it a margin of 50%, just like that. Awesome. All right, looking good. Now below the button div, we're going to go ahead and just do regular button style. So button, open that up. For the button style, simply enough, I'm just going to give it some padding. There we go. Give it some padding. And we're going to set that padding to 30 pixels. There we go. All right, below that, we're going to go ahead. And now we're going to do the ID for button red. So hashtag B-red, I think is what we called it. Give it some curly brackets, open it up. Simply enough, we're just going to go ahead and give it background color. And I'm going to set that to red. Awesome. And then below that, we're going to do the, again, hashtag B-green. Open that up. And this one, simply enough, is just going to be background color. And we're going to set that to green. Awesome. All right. Perfect. Then we're going to go ahead and do a hashtag. We're going to do the block enemy now. And we're going to go ahead, open that up. In block enemy now, we're going to set a couple things. We're going to set the background color. I'm going to make this one yellow. We're also going to go ahead, give it a width, 20 pixels. We're going to give it a height, 20 pixels. We're also going to go ahead, position relative, top, we're going to go ahead, give it some top, and we're going to give it the 130 pixels. And for the left, we're going to give it 500 pixels. Oops. And we're also going to give it animation. And it's going to be block dash enemy. And it's going to be 4 seconds. And again, infinite linear. Awesome. All right, now we just got to make the animation. We should be good. Let's go ahead below that. We're going to do again an at keyframe. Call it block dash enemy. Open it up. And simply enough, we're going to give it a 0%, curly brackets, left. And we're going to make the left 500 pixels. And below that, we're going to go ahead and give it 100%. And again, left, negative 20 pixels. So all this is going to do is just going to reset and move our enemy just like a regular enemy, but we need to recall this because it's going to have, of course, initiate a new animation. Awesome. All right, go ahead and make sure you have that, save that. Make sure you have all these styles down. I'm going to slowly go through them just so you can double check. For the button, be red, be green, block enemy, the block enemy animation keyframes. Scroll on up. We have the button div, keyframes block. Go back up here. We have the keyframes jump, animate, character, game, and then the star. Awesome. Make sure you got this all down. That's it for this section. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video and serious about becoming a developer, you should totally consider joining Red Fools Academy. Once you sign up, you will get full access to all of our premium courses, support from myself and the Red Fools Studio team. Our courses include full stack website development, app development, game development, and many more to come. On your first sign up, you get a free 7 days to try it all out. A link will be added to the description, or you can go to the official website at redfoolstudio.com. See you in the lectures. All right, so in this section, we're going to go ahead and create all the JavaScript code we need for our project. Then we're going to go ahead and do some bug fixes and a final review. Let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, let's go ahead and finish up and get started on the JavaScript. Let's go ahead and click on our script right over here. All right, we're going to be adding a couple things in here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off with a variable. We're going to go ahead and just call this character. We're going to make that equal to our document dot get element by ID. And of course, we're going to use the character element. So let's go ahead, character, semicolon at the end of that. All right, below that, we're going to go ahead and do another variable. This one's going to be for block. We're going to make that again equal to document dot get element by ID. All right, and then of course open that up, double quotes. Let's put block in there. Perfect. All right, below that, we're also going to go ahead and create a variable for counter. We're going to make that equal to 0. Below that, we're going to go ahead and do a variable also for time left. And we're going to make that equal to 0 as well. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and create our first function now. So we're going to go ahead and do function. It's going to be for our jump function. So jump, empty set of parentheses, open it up. All right, we're going to be adding a couple things in here. So starting off, we're going to do an if statement, an if character dot class list triple or double equals animate. Then we're going to go ahead and have it do something, so give it some curly brackets. So if our character list or class list equals animate, then we're simply going to go ahead and return semicolon. Awesome. And below that, we're going to go ahead and add a character dot class list dot add, and then inside of there we're going to go ahead and add the animate. Awesome, because of course if it's already animating, then we don't want it to add this, so that's why we're doing that if statement above. All right, below that we're going to go ahead and do a set timeout. And we're going to set that to a function. Go ahead, give it some empty parentheses, open it up. Inside of there, we're going to do a character dot class list dot remove, and then inside of there, animate. Because we're going to be having it on a loop, so we want to remove it if it's already going off or if it already passed. And if we want to do that with a specific time, then we can simply go ahead right over here, do a comma, and then we'll do 1,200 milliseconds. And we can adjust that later on if we need to, but I think it should be good for what we're doing. Awesome. So there's our jump function. Perfect. Then we're going to go ahead underneath our jump function closing. Right over here, we're going to add another function. This one's going to be for checking if the character is dead. So we're going to go ahead, do a var check dead equals set interval, and then pass in another function within that. A function parentheses, open up some curly brackets. Awesome. So inside of here, we're going to set a couple things. We're going to start off with a let, and we're going to do character top equals parse int, and we're going to go ahead, open that parenthesis up for parse int. We're going to do window dot get computed style, and we're going to go ahead and do the character dot get property value, and we're going to go ahead and do the top because we're going to need this value so we can calculate how far the character is or if he's dead and all that fun stuff. Awesome. So go ahead now, underneath there we can put a semicolon. Below the parse int, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a let again, block left equals, again, parse int. Open that up, some parentheses. Inside of there, we're going to go ahead and again do window dot get computed style. This time it's going to be for the block. Then we're going to go ahead, do a dot get property value. And of course, this one, instead of the top, we're going to be using the left because it's going to be moving from side to side, not up and down. Awesome. So make sure you got that. Semicolon down here. All right, below that now, we're going to do another if statement. We're going to do an if block left is less than 60. Two and symbols for an and block left is greater than negative 60, and character top is greater than or equal to 130. We're going to have it do something. All right, we're going to do block dot style dot animate or animation. We're going to set that to none because we want to get rid of it now. Just like that. Perfect. And then we're also going to go ahead and we're going to do an alert so we can tell the player the game's over. We're going to go ahead, pass it in, say game over, period, score, colon, and then we're going to add the score to it. So we're going to go ahead, do a plus, capital M math, dot floor, and this is going to be for our counter. So counter slash 100. Awesome. Go ahead, semicolon at the end of that. Perfect. And then we're also going to reset the counter. So we're going to set our counter back to 0. We're also going to go ahead to the block dot style dot animation, and we're going to make that equal block 3 seconds infinite linear. All right, semicolon at the end of that. Below that, we're going to do time left, and we're going to set that again to 0, semicolon. Awesome. And we're also going to have an else statement because, of course, we want to keep doing other things if the game is not over. So we're going to do an else. Open that up. In the else, we're going to set counter to ++, which is just going to add 1 to it every time this runs. Then we're also going to do document dot get element by ID, wherever that is. There it is. Get element by ID for the score. So we're going to do score span. And then we're going to do a dot inner HTML. And we're going to equal that to math dot floor. And then inside of that, we're going to do counter /100 semicolon. Awesome. All right, and last but not least, we need to know when to run this thing every once in a while. So I'm going to do 10 milliseconds. Awesome. We can adjust that if we want to, but I think that'll be good for what we got. All right, make sure you got all that down. I know that was a lot. All right, we got one more big function left and then 2 small ones. Let's go ahead and keep going. All right, we're going to do another one now. This is going to be the attack function. So function attack parentheses. Open that up with some curly brackets. All right, so inside of there, we're going to do a let. And actually, instead of typing the whole thing out, we can just go ahead and copy both these lets that we made here, which could make it a little faster. I think they're exactly the same. Oh no, they're a little different. Or they're actually, yep, no, they're the same. Let's go ahead and copy these two. So copy these two from up here. They're both the parse ints, block left, block right. Go ahead, copy each of those. And simply enough, we're just going to paste these right in here, just like that. Awesome. All right, make sure you got those there. Perfect. Should be what we need. Now we're also going to go ahead underneath that. Let me scroll down a little bit. We're going to go ahead and do an if statement. We're going to go ahead, pass in parentheses, and we're going to be adding a couple things in this if statement, starting off with block left is greater than 120 and block left, oh no, it was less than, but this one's greater than -20, 120, 2 and symbols again, character top greater than or equal to 130 and time left is greater than or equal to 0. Awesome. Looking good. All right, now we can add the actual function. So if all that is true, then we're going to go ahead, open this up, and we're going to do a document dot get element by ID. And this one's going to be for the inner quotes of b-red. Then we're going to go ahead, do dot style dot background color, because we're going to be changing the background color when it's waiting. Let's try to find that. There it is. Background color. We're going to set the background color to this one to red. Awesome. Semicolon. All right, below that, we're going to set timeout. And we're going to pass in, should be countdown. We haven't made that yet. Countdown to 100 or 1000. Semicolon. Below that, we're going to go ahead and do time left. And we're going to equal that to 5 because we want the button to basically recharge and have the ability to attack again after 5 seconds. We're also going to do block.style dot animation, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to set that to none. There we go. All right, below that we're going to go ahead and now we're going to set timeout function. So set timeout parentheses function empty parentheses, open that up. Inside of there, simply enough, we're going to go ahead and do block dot style dot animation, and then we're going to equal that to block 3 seconds infinite linear. Awesome. Make sure you got that down. Perfect. And then we're going to want this to do its thing every 1,200 milliseconds. Awesome. All right, make sure you got that there. Perfect. That should be it for that function. Awesome. Make sure you got that whole thing down. All right, 2 more small ones and then we should be good. We're going to do another one for checking dead, but this is going to be for the time one. So we're going to do var check dead equals set interval function, pass in parentheses, open that up. All right, inside of there, we're going to do an if statement. If time left is less than or equal to 0, then we're going to go ahead, open that up, and we're going to do document dot get element by ID, pass in parentheses, double quotes, b dash red, and we're going to do a dot style dot background color, and we're going to set that to green. So if the time is less than what we're expecting, of course, then we're going to have a green because then we can use it again. That's basically what that's doing. Awesome. And then we're also going to do a similar thing with an else. So let's do else. So if it's an else, then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, except we're going to be changing it back to red. So let's copy that whole thing there, paste that there, change green to red. Awesome. And we're going to want to run this every so often. So we're going to do a comma, and then every 10 milliseconds, we're going to check this. Awesome. All right, perfect. And then the last thing we need is the actual countdown. So let's go ahead, do a simple function for that. Function. And we're going to call this countdown. Empty parentheses, open it up. All right, inside of it, we're going to do time left minus minus semicolon, and then a simple if statement. If time left is greater than 0, then we're going to go ahead and set timeout to countdown, comma, 1,000. Awesome. All right, make sure you got that there. Perfect. I know that was a lot. Save that. Make sure you got the countdown function right here. Make sure you got the check dead second function here. All right. Make sure you also have the attack function, which is a little bigger, this one here. All right. Also make sure you have the one above that for the check dead one. Awesome. And then of course the jump function, and then all of our variables at the top. Awesome. All right. Make sure to save. I will see you in the next section. All right, let's go ahead and review what we made. But before we do that real quick, I noticed 2 little bugs right in our style.css. I noticed we have one little missing S that we have. It should be on line 21, right after jump 1.6. We need to add an S there, okay? Make sure you have that there or it's going to error. Also, if you scroll on down to our button-div class, I noticed we had margin here. We actually need to have the word width here instead. Okay, awesome. So make sure you have the width set to 50%, just like that. Awesome, save that. All right, now to test out the game, all we got to do is right click on our index.html and then go to copy path, then go to any of your browsers you have, and all you got to do is just paste it in the URL. And then there you go, you have our little game here. And of course we have our little block that can jump over the incoming blue blocks. We also have the ability to attack the block if it comes at you. And then of course we will reload our attack and be able to use it again. We also have the score counter here, and if we get hit by an enemy, we have this nice little game over alert. Awesome. Congratulations if you made it this far. I will see you next time.